Go without. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good morning. It's fantastic to have you all back on today's interview.
Yeah.
Amazing, Jost Sauer. My name is Justin Phillips, and I have the great privilege and honour to be interviewing Jost today. My wife and I live in beautiful Bribie Island, Queensland, Australia, and we are passionate about empowering people with health and happiness and prosperity, and sharing the extraordinary life experiences and lessons that we've learned. And before we get started, just ask that please not for your cooperation, not to record this call, not to distribute it to mass media or social media sites. We are recording the call, and the links for the recording will be posted for you, so you can check that out and invite people to have a look at it after the fact. And I have muted everyone to keep the background noise down to a minimum, but I do encourage you, please, to pop your chats and your comments and questions, things that you want to learn about in the chat box, so we can address that as we go through the interview. And also to, at the end, we'll do a bit of a Q&A where you can reach out and say hi to yourself. And so now it is time, and my pleasure, to introduce our amazing guest speaker, Jost Sauer, who is known as the lifestyle medicine man. Jost has been a phenomenal influence in our life, and he was actually born 1958 in Germany, and has done a lot of things. He actually is a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. And I met Jost back in the Australian College of Natural Medicine days he was supervising the acupuncture clinic there. And he has overseen more than 55,000 patients and different case studies, has a huge background in bodybuilding and national snow skiing champion, and triathletes and Ironman, and a lot of Kung Fu, a lot of Tai Chi. And he is truly an expert and a master when it comes to feeling Qi and manipulating Qi, and understanding how Qi flows through our body and how we can manipulate that and work with that. And when he discovered and really added the 24-hour movement of Qi, the Chinese medicine body clock, into his daily activities, and now he's written books on that, it's really taken things to the next level. And he's an expert in helping people really generate that in their body and be fantastically healthy. So Jost has published 4 books: Higher and Higher, Drug Rehab Repair That Works, The Perfect Day Plan, The Rebel's Guide to Recovery, and Clock Onto Health. And he has 2 websites, The Lifestyle Medicine Man and jostsauer.com. So I'll pop them in the chat box so you can go and have a look at his resources. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to the call, Jost. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Fantastic. And so today's conversation, last week we were talking about how anger overrides the spleen, and we need the spleen energy for that building of Qi and yin, and also how the redox interacts with that and helps us take us deeper into our body. And I want to thank you. I've certainly been more conscious of a lot of things since I've been doing our interviews. I've been doing a lot of breathing exercises. Like you said, have the first thing. I always did that first thing as soon as I wake up, the redox, then actually do some breathing and sink deep down into the body. And then after that, getting into the legs. So hence, just come off the TRX, mucking around with different types of squats and getting the legs pumping. So I want to thank you for your influence. It's already been very beneficial to me.
Good to hear.
And so this week we're going to talk a bit about signs and symptoms of spleen depletion, and the impacts of how weight gain can increase. We can experience weight gain or difficulty losing weight if we haven't really got our Qi nicely flowing through the spleen. Did you want to talk into that somewhat?
Yeah. Obviously, I want to make everything in context too, because Chinese medicine always applies to context. So in Chinese medicine, we don't address the situation from an absolute perspective. We always in context to the environment. We are in context to the engagement with others. So all kind of health advice and recommendation needs to be in context to what is actually your life situation. This is where Chinese medicine differs to Western medicine, where they reduce everything to the smallest particle and then have one solution for all. It doesn't account how people feel. It doesn't account what they relate to. It doesn't account what they go through, etc. It just goes down to a chemical data which will determine in which way they're expecting a certain change. So in Chinese medicine, we always are subject to the environment. We are part of our surroundings, and we are part of a community. So in Chinese medicine, we are the meridian system, which determines our health. The meridian system transports qi to every aspect of the body, in particular to the internal organs. The internal organs, which are fundamental to life in Chinese medicine, as they are energetic in its nature, they actually are consisting of our original makeup. You could say the soul matrix. You could say that our internal organ system, the energy organs as we call them in Chinese medicine, are in fact the structure of the soul. That means when we have a physical experience, it is to a certain degree dependent on how we communicate with our internal organ system. And that requires of transmission of energy from the outer to the inner, from the surroundings to the inner, to the contact with others, to the within. And now, obviously in today's seminars, we're going to look at that a bit more from a precise perspective, how Chinese medicine can enhance that, but also how redox signaling fits into this all. So we can actually enhance the situation, because we are now faced with a condition that we haven't had before in the history of humanity, because the lockdowns actually cause social isolation, means we're not actually touching people. So when you look at the nature of when you look at the nature of life on the planet Earth, we are beings that belong to a herd. We belong together. So when you see the flock of goats, the flock of dogs in the wild, the horses, they all stick together. So when dogs come together in the wild and sleep, they all cuddle up with each other. The lions cuddle up with each other. The monkeys cuddle up with each other. So everyone's constantly cuddling up. Now, we've got 1.5 meter distance there. So unless you're in a relationship, there's not much cuddling going on. So now we could say we have a cuddle deficiency, big time. And the next thing is we don't shake hands because we're supposed to be 1.5 meters away from each other. Okay, shaking hands is an enormous important energetic transmission part, because at the palm, at the center of the palm, you've got an acupuncture point, pericardium 8. It's the fire point of the heart. It's where the energy of the heart leaves the palm and then meets the other person's heart. So the reason why we shake hands is because pericardium 8 and pericardium 8 of the other person get together. There's a union between two fire points on the heart meridian. That's why when we meet people, we shake hands. When we now hug and kiss the person on the cheeks, we're incorporating stomach and spleen meridian. So because the stomach meridian is on the cheekbones. So when we now engage with, first of all, we shake hands and then we do the cheekbone kiss, what happens is we actually engage in stomach meridian. Stomach meridian is another meridian that now opens up to the spleen energy, which then nourishes contact with others, but then is responsible to feed it back via the fire meridian, the fire heart in the heart channel, and then it builds blood. So contact with others builds blood. It builds your spleen. So what we're having now is we have a massive spleen deficiency due to the lockdowns, because we don't have contacts. When you go to the post office, you need to be 1.5 meters away from each other. No contact. So when you meet a friend, you want to say, hey, how you going? You want to just, shake five, Can't do that. Straight away, police comes up. It's against the law. So the transmission of the energy in the heart that carries our soul energy, and also the understanding of who we are, moves along the heart meridian, down the back of the hand, towards this point here in the center of the palm, and then it makes contact with the other person. So what we're doing here is, when we shake hands, we make contact soul to soul. The spirits of two people meet. Physically we make contact, but it's actually the spiritual connection that is crucial, because the physical body is a massive boundary of keeping the energies contained within. Now, due to the social isolation, it stops very important energy to be moved to the next person, to be connected. So that transmission is essential to create an energy flow, which then leads to spleen development. So the spleen will get low, deficient, etc. And what is a major symptom of spleen deficiency? Fatigue. Can't be bothered doing things.
Oh, that's really interesting. We're talking to people this week, and just amazing how many people are feeling they're tired at the moment.
Yeah, they can't be bothered. So when a classic symptom of spleen deficiency is, I wake up and I can't be bothered. So I go, because now I have digital contact with others, that means Zoom meeting. So now I'm going to stare at that computer. I can't be bothered. The person in front of me on the digital, I can't be bothered listening to that idea. I don't feel inspired to engage, to provide good ideas. I just listen, but I don't participate. I may do on the superficial level, but I'm actually not getting involved with my heart. My spirit is not engaging. So what happens here in the contact with others is that our heart, via the heart meridian, when we have contact with others, opens up our creativity. So now we're feeling creative, because creativity is in your heart, of knowing who we are and what we want to do, to feel inspired. Art, music, all that is in the heart. It's stored. To express yourself in joy, that's your heart. To express to the lover how you feel about her or him, it's via your heart. So you can't have a love relationship 1.5 meter distance. Nor can you have a love relationship digital by being on Zoom meeting. Let's meet via Zoom.
Yeah, that's amazing, Jost. Many times I look at cultural behaviors or cultural sayings and, you know, things that are passed down generation to generation. And I always wonder, like, where did that come from? What's the truth of that you know, that sparked that? And the handshake, that the heart to heart, I didn't even know that. I had no idea about that. That's just absolutely amazing. And I've always been a hugger. And at the moment, that's like really awkward, right? I like go to hug and went, oh, oops, sorry, can't do that. So,
I'd say just don't worry about it.
yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I know. It's more about respecting other people's beliefs than my mine. I'm not worried for being infected myself. I think it's kind of really blown up out of proportion. But some of the new studies out of the US are showing that, right? 40 to 85 times the amount of people infected in Santa Clara County in California than reported cases. So yeah, they reckon it's like that takes death toll lower than influenza.
I mean, the situation, we don't really know what goes on with that virus. We've got a mystery going on here.
Yeah, it's pretty.
In Chinese medicine, we're going to look at what to do about it and what does it mean. And the fact is, at the moment, is like we don't have the energetic exchange that is the way we used to, because doing a creative Zoom meeting is not the same as if you would be face-to-face with a person in a meeting.
Yeah.
So what we can see as a result of not having handshakes, not the energy transmission, from a Chinese medicine perspective, it makes the spleen deficient. As a result of that is we got fatigue issues. We got all kind of like energy deficiency patterns now. So that's why so many people are now complaining about not having the energy. Yeah. And that's like that. This is where obviously we're going to look at, okay, what can we do here? You know, of course, ideally would be we just like, the fact is we need to somehow oblige the rules, and Chinese medicine always has got its means of adaptation. But we also getting a first-hand experience how important social contact is. We're getting our full experience about how important it is to be in close contact with others. We're now getting a full experience of how important it is to be tactile with others, to touch people, to be connected to others, because now that's not the case. And now we can see how we get withdrawn from it. So even psychology and counseling understands that contact with others is crucial as a neural stimulation. Contact with others stimulates the release of serotonin and adrenaline and other kind of hormones that not only make you feel good, but also inspires you and gives you energy. For example, as a writer, in myself, if I'm 2 hours on the computer writing, I can feel my inspiration is going down. So if I go into a cafe, meet someone and, hey, how you going? Straight away, energy get uplifted again. Yes. So we're going to look at that has been taken away from us, and it's an unnatural state that we experience. First time in the history, we have experienced like an unnatural state, whereas in nature, animals would always herd together, especially if they are under fear, they would come together and herd.
Yeah.
And so now we can't herd, we can't get together in a group, we can't get pericardium 8, meet pericardium 8 of another person. That means it also leads to heart disorders, and the main pathology of heart disorder is anxiety.
Mm.
So now the anxiety goes up. Then on top of that, we get constant information about what goes on with the virus. We don't know, we have no idea what's happening. Fear rises. Social media is full with fear. It generates fear. Then we don't have contact from heart to heart, which means anxiety goes up. Now the fear-evoking messages on social media now makes the anxiety even further.
Yeah, vicious cycle.
Yeah. Now we're going to look into, okay, we've got to do something about this. And obviously the first thing is to actually look into the technicality of this, what this means, because we are an infinite energy being. That means we are a spirit by nature. So that means we are, our prime reference point is actually energy. So, and now we may live a physical life, but the fact that we all die means we live eternal, we live forever. And what lives is the energy field, and that's the soul and the spirit. And so we are obviously have a reference point in ourselves that's infinite. And that reveals that health is affiliated with the infinite aspect of ourselves, which are the meridians and the organs. And intuitively, till about 5 weeks ago, we knew how to engage with that by going into a cafe, meeting people, having a business meeting. A counselor meets their client face to face, and changes happen. As a counselor, doing the same thing via Skype is not the same as the person is in the room.
Yeah.
So health is definitely on the way down because of that. So due to the stimulus of fear, we need to get together, but we can't do that. We need to look at alternative ways how to do that. And this is where Chinese medicine is looking into how can we now cultivate the move of the qi from the heart to the pericardium, and then to support the spleen. So we're going to look at alternative means, unless we want to do all big demonstration and go on the streets to stop the lockdowns.
It's happening in the US. There was like 100,000 people that protested in Michigan. There was one that was a car protest, and in another part of America there was another one that was cars and people. But they basically locked down the CBD with their cars.
Yeah, but it all comes down to the fact we really don't know what happens with the virus. So this is where this is why it's so difficult to get a grip of the whole situation, because is there a transmission of the virus or not? Is the virus deadly or not? It's just experts can't answer precisely. We are faced with a mystery, and people do die, but why do they die? We don't know. And other people don't die. We don't know why they don't die. So in Chinese medicine, we're trying to adapt to the situation. And at the moment, we have got a lockdown situation, and we have got lack of social contact. And that means that has ramification on important organ functions. And these organ functions are responsible for energy production, for feeling inspired, to wanting to do things, but also to actually get excited about doing things. So that means if we don't know how to rectify the lack of contact, it will move into a mental problem very soon, and depression will be rising, anxiety will be rising, and it will have an impact on the economy. And then obviously in 6 months, we will get the aftermarks of this. So it will obviously now create a totally different problem, which is why Sweden stopped doing lockdowns, because they understood that intuitively it's against the grain of the human. It's against the grain of the herd. It's against the clan. The clan needs to stick together, not to separate. So by the clan being, if the clan sticks together, we discover ideas. At the moment, like being isolated from everyone, people realizing that they're lacking in ideas and getting actually, they're getting more and more blank in their mind.
That's so true. Actually, I often find if I'm not, my favorite environment is a small workshop where I'm learning something new, and when I'm in that sort of environment or a networking environment, and normally if you're in a networking environment, you're learning new things about what people do, that sort of stuff. But that's always when I'm most creative. I have my best business ideas. I have my best personal development ideas, and like what I'm inspired to change in my life is when I've been around those environments a lot. That's actually really enlightening for me. I'm super blessed that this whole COVID crisis hasn't really impacted my life very much. I work from home, and income's pretty much, it's gone down a little bit now, but it's pretty much the same. It's not a big impact at all for me, but I'm probably been lacking personal contact prior to all this crisis, spending too much time on Zoom. Yeah, so that's been really enlightening for me, and the whole act of handshaking and that connection is so key to humanity. That's been awesome. A lot of comments on the Facebook and stuff about, and I've got other comments about thanks for helping us understand why we feel the way we feel. So many people feeling tired and feeling scattered.
Yeah, so it's unnatural what we do now. So now we have to apply natural systems. And we're going to look at, okay, what is the meridian that's involved with it? So the meridians that lead to the inspiration and feeling inspired again and have the energy, it's primarily the lung meridian, the stomach meridian, and the spleen meridian, which then moves on to the heart meridian. Okay, I'm going to give a crude example how you resolve the situation immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Take some really high-grade amphetamine.
Oh, really? Just bang, hey?
Or take some MDMA, ecstasy. And suddenly you feel connected to the person on the computer. Suddenly you get all kinds of ideas, and suddenly you can't stop writing ideas down.
Yeah, that's why people use that stuff, right?
Why is that? Because amphetamine and MDMA stimulate and open up the lung meridian, the stomach meridian, the spleen meridian, and then open up to the heart meridian. That's why when you go if you go to a nightclub, what do you see? People go like this, all the time. They're feeling each other's. So if someone's body's here, they always put their hand above other people's body, because what the drug activates and stimulates is pericardium 8, the fire point in the center of the palm.
Right, so
the healing energy. When people do Reiki, they activate pericardium 8, fire point. So when people heal, the energy comes out of this palm and then heals the person. So for example, if you want to heal a person's sadness, you put the palm directly on the heart chakra, on the chest, and automatically your energy now will actually move into the other person's energy and will lift it. Everyone has got the ability to do that. We all have that. Animals do, monkeys do Reiki. It's ingrained, it's innate to us. That's how the soul operates. At the soul, we huddle. We are cuddlers. We meet others. We are connected with everything. We are part of the bigger. But then when we incarnate into the physical, our meridian system is now matched with the central nervous system of a physical body. And that separates the unity. And suddenly we experiencing a distance to people away from us. And the distance is not natural. So therefore we're trying to actually engage the energy flow again, which is why we're trying to connect to people and touch and go, how you going, mate? Feeling, you want to feel.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, we activate the soul energy. So when people take MDMA, ecstasy, they actually, that particular action is now enhanced, which is why in that moment communication gets enhanced, etc. For example, Swiss psychiatrists to this day, and I'm going to go back into Chinese medicine very quickly after this, so I'm not pushing MDMA here. Swiss psychiatrists to this day refuse to look at MDMA as an illegal drug, because you can resolve a relationship breakdown immediately. All you need to do is a relationship where there's no connection for say 10 years, you put them into a room, you give them high grade MDMA, and then you close the door.
Yeah. And they're having sex in no time.
2 days, full on connection. So why is that? Because the disconnection is simply because of the blockages in the heart meridian, stomach meridian, lung meridian, and spleen meridian. So before relationship problems start, we're getting resentful to the partner. We start criticizing. Now we're blocking the chi flow. As we now getting more and more conditioned to the blockage of the chi flow, it now gets more and more centered in the meridian flow. So now eventually over time, the heart meridian is cut off. The spleen meridian is cut off. And now the communication can't occur. It doesn't matter how much mental talk you do to each other. If it's not opened up via the heart meridian, if it's not felt from the heart, the communication is not real. And now it gets conceptual, and that leads to resentment, and now love is missing. So now it gets mechanical. So that's why when you take MDMA, you instantly resolve the situation for this 2 hours only or 1 day. But at least the person has an experience of it. Mm. So in Chinese medicine, we know that in order to enhance the communication, we need to open up the heart meridian. We need to open up the spleen meridian. We need to open up the stomach meridian. And as we open up those meridians, we automatically let heart energy now enter the connection. And then suddenly relationships start working again. Mm. I've seen this over and over because in my line of work as a counselor, as soon as you engage Chinese energy techniques like Qigong or Tai Chi, relationship problems just almost like disappear. Like following the Qi cycle, we always recommend just focus on connecting to the Qi. You will see automatically that the problems in a relationship will actually go down. And as we are now in a lockdown situation, and people are now connected with each other all day, but actually never learned how to communicate on a heart level by using official techniques. Now what happens is the intensity of being confined to a small space for 5-6 weeks causes all kinds of relationship problems. Yeah. So that means now not only the inspiration to life is going down, but also what goes down is the ability to communicate effectively with the partner. Mm-hmm. So because when the partners during the day, when they moved into the business, what did they do? They were constantly shaking hands. They were talking at the water cooler. They were whinging about the boss. They were all the time being in touch with others. So they constantly moved energy through the field. They constantly moved energy from the heart to the spleen, to the lung. But if you are in lockdown all day and you can't have social contact with others, that action has stopped. Now the energy is not flowing freely in the heart. That means the spleen energy is going down, heart energy is going down, the fire in the heart is going down. Obviously now it's getting more difficult to communicate with the partner in a relationship. Yeah, so that's why when one of the partners says, and when they were at work, they exchange energies. When they came home, they were able to communicate effectively, but now this exchange of energy is not taking place. And so now it becomes, the whole day becomes dull.
Yeah.
It becomes mundane. It becomes like, it's driving me crazy because the energy is not moving freely. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the situation now. So obviously, if everything returns to normal and people go back to work, it automatically impacts beneficially on the relationship also, because suddenly you got the transmission. But at the moment, people work from home, plus you got the children at home. It's more difficult for the energy to be exchanged effectively because we don't have the social contact with others. So therefore, we've got to look at, okay, how can we do this, what otherwise ecstasy or MDMA would do? How can we do this within? And because we have a first set of experience that a chemical, just one little chemical can change the situation instantly. So if a little chemical can do that, that means it's already within the body. So we need to understand how to live. This is where lifestyle medicine is coming into, because in the chi cycle, we understand that we are by nature an energy being that needs to understand how to connect to the energy all the time. If you are connecting to the energy all the time, you all the time have that flow of the energy through the heart meridian, spleen, lung. That means you always feel inspired. You always feel there's a transmission of energy. So you basically do that, what otherwise physical contact would do, you do now energetically. Mm-hmm. So for me, this COVID crisis, because it's a mystery, no one can explain, no expert can explain what's going on. And to me, it looks like it's a massive shift in consciousness on this planet. It's just, it's almost like nature is sending us this virus in us to wake up, that we need to change our life, that we need to put lifestyle in place, that we've got to look into who are we, what do we need to do in order to become who we're supposed to be. Yeah. Because like till COVID-19 started, a lot of people were just trapped in a rut, just go, 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 go. Yeah. And then like mortgage after mortgage. And then by the end of the day, what's this all about?
There are a lot more people reevaluating their life.
Yeah.
What's important to them, how secure is their job or the industry. What, you know, like if what they have been doing, if they don't like it, more of them are going, you know, I'm sick of this, I want to change. And now's a good time to change.
Yes, yeah, because we've got no choice. Yeah. Whatever is happening from this, we can say for sure, that life will not be the same afterwards. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And a huge change. And that means we're going to look at new values, because we don't even know how many businesses, how many existing product development and industries will survive this. Mm. We don't know yet. And but life will continue. It always will create something new. It will not collapse. Mm. It will always transform into the next. Mm. In Chinese medicine, life is ruled by yin and yang. And destruction leads to creation. The yin and yang symbol basically says destruction and creation coexist. The yin and yang means it gets destroyed and then it gets rebuilt. Then it gets destroyed and something new comes out of it. So it's all the time get destroyed and something new comes out. Mm. So at the moment, COVID-19 is destroying something. And as a result of that, something new will come. So obviously, if we understand how to tap into the infinite nature of us, that means if we follow the flow of the chi, that means we will naturally transform into the next. We go forwards into the next. And what that means is we will find new values as a result of that. And but that first of all requires to have a connection to the energy. It requires to feel the flow from the heart to the pericardium, 8 fire points, so that we have the inspiration and the idea about what it is that we want to do as a result of the new. Yeah. So and so basically what we are faced now is we needing to we need to follow the flow of the chi. We need to follow our energy organs, store all that what we need to do in this life. Before we incarnate, in Chinese medicine, it says, before you incarnate, you are given instructions of what to do in this life. Everyone here is on a mission. everyone is here on purpose. And all that information is stored in the energy organs. And through meditation, through Qigong practices, Tai Chi, and following the Qi cycle, we sense this information. And then we get instructions. Okay, we got to do this next. We got to do this next. Because in Chinese medicine, this physical world is evolving and moving towards something better all the time. It's improving all the time. So, for example, if you would have lived 400 years ago, life was so much worse. You had no dentist, there were no chiropractors, nothing. So this time we have got so much support already. And add another 500 years on top of it, it will be even better than now.
Yeah.
So obviously, whatever this earth is, it's getting better by the day. And this cycle is regulated by yin and yang. And everyone who lives on this planet is part of this development. We are all on a mission. Everyone right now is on a mission. And it's our job to improve this earth, to be part of this expansion. And that, first of all, needs to understand that we are given instructions by whatever created us, and that's within us. And now that we are not engaged with the social contact, we need to look for this energy flow for means other than what we are faced with. So you could say the lockdowns is a strategy for us to train what we need next. The biggest mistake, in brackets mistake, would be just to wait till it's over and then trying to return to the old.
Yep.
That is exactly what we can't do. So we need to be aware of what it is we can't do, and we just can't just wait for it to get over and then return to the old, because it will not be the case. That means we're not getting the message from it. Yeah. So now the opportunity is to actually look into techniques that will do exactly that, what otherwise a handshake would do. Look into this, what hug would do. What is communal bonding? What is by connecting with others? And the first thing is we need to understand that there's a system all throughout the day that is actually connecting us to each of those points. And that's like the Qi cycle. Every 2 hours, we get connected to this energy flow. So every 2 hours, we make contact with a very specific aspect of this intelligence that's within us. So the more you connect to it, the less lonely you feel. The more you become one of the bigger, the more you go into your energy part, your spirit reference rather than your physical reference. The more you're able to connect to others via your spirit connection. And this is where Chinese herbs, and this is where redox is coming into play. Because, for example, like with redox, as we said on these other meetings before, redox is signaling of the mitochondria to provide a direct transmission between all the different body parts. So as we spoke about in last week session, why does it enhance your physical performance? Like so many athletes take redox. It's not doping what redox does. ASEA, it's not doping. What it does, it enhances bodily functions. So our body, as I said last week, our body is like a Lamborghini, but most people aren't connecting to the enormous possibility that's in the body. So therefore the bodily functions aren't enhanced, and therefore they act like a cheap Hyundai. And that means life is very mundane and there's not much going on. So as an athlete, as a swimmer, you are so affected because you learn how to utilize the body. And redox is the signaling between the mitochondria and the cells. What it does, it enhances cell communication. So you enhance bodily functions. So you actually now allowing the body to work more effectively. And this is now where, in order to move to the next, we obviously need to have supplements. We need to have Chinese herbs. We need to understand what products to take to enhance our body. to enhance the bodily functions. Like, this is why MDMA works and ecstasy. It's a substance. It's just a little chemical. But so are Chinese herbs. They enhance the bodily functions. So suddenly the heart meridian is opened up, and suddenly you do get an inspiration. With redox, you suddenly open up to certain cells, and suddenly you want to engage and do things. Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, according to my clinical observation, redox works best if it's in conjunction with Chinese herbs. So I've done a lot of work with that, and I've been experimenting with this in depth. So redox by itself is an incredibly powerful product. If you combine this with Chinese herbs, that's what you want to do. That's what I do, and the people I work with, like the results are astonishing. Redox enhances the bodily function. The Chinese herbs enter the meridians. And the Chinese herbs differ to Western supplements, that Chinese herbs target specific meridians. Just like ecstasy would target the heart meridian, or amphetamine would target the spleen meridian. Chinese herbalism targets specific meridians, opens up the meridian. So for example, if you have, that's why as a counselor, I work with Chinese herbs. So if I get a client who can't express their love because they're blocked in the heart, and they want to express but they can't, of course I work with acupuncture in order to open up. But then I give certain Chinese herbs that now support, open up the meridian, that enter the meridian, and within a few days they can start expressing their love to people. Yeah. Just like ecstasy, suddenly people start expressing. Yeah. So same thing. So when we take Chinese herbs, it's not a nutrient; it's an energetic quality that we take. Chinese herbs differ to Western supplements. That Western supplements are isolated nutrients. Yeah. But Chinese herbs are always 5, 6, 7, 8 different ingredients together, but they act on each other in order to create a synergy. They create a vibrancy. They're creating they're generating a force field, which then generates power. That means it enters the meridian system. It's actually a powder that generates power. So that means it enters the meridian, and the action of the Chinese herbs is due to the impact it has on penetrating the blocked meridian. Yeah. For example, one of the most powerful formulas right now, if people lack in energy and can't get going, like they feel unmotivated, they sit in front of the computer, they can't get going, what happens is the meridian in the heart channel is blocked. And the spleen and the stomach can't generate the qi towards the lung in order to open up. So the formula that was developed 800 years ago is called 6 major herb combination. It's got 6 herbs. And as soon as you take 1 scoop, it immediately, boom, opens up the meridian flow. And suddenly within 5 minutes, you feel, oh, I feel inspired. So it's not like drinking coffee. Coffee actually doesn't do much other than it stimulates the blood flow. It opens on the heart and stimulates the blood flow. But it's not necessarily a nutrient as such. But in Chinese medicine, like the 6 major herb combination, for example, enters the heart meridian. And then it enters the stomach and spleen and lung meridian and now delivers the inspiration. So as we are in a situation where we can't have the social contact with others, we've got to look at means other than that, how to stimulate the flow in these meridians that a handshake would do, that group meetings would do. So therefore, we're going to look at, okay, if I understand what goes on here, I then utilize the medicine. I use ASEA or redox, and I use 6 major herb. The redox enhances the bodily functions. The 6 major enters the specific meridian designed for feeling inspired and to be engaged.
So, as well as the behavior, right? Because that's what the Perfect Day Plan's about, is really like doing certain things at a certain time. That lifestyle also enhances those 2, yes?
Yes. The next thing is that the herbs, in order for the herbs to work effectively, you need to live the lifestyle. So herbs by themselves, okay, they can do the initial kickstart, like red oaks can do a lot. But if you start living correctly and align with the flow of the chi that's designed throughout the day, you enhance the property by tenfold. So Chinese medicine, this is where Chinese herbs differ to recreational drugs.
Yeah.
MDMA, it doesn't matter what you do in your life, it always will work. Amphetamine always will work. Valium, barbiturates, sleeping tablets always work, regardless of what you do. Chinese herbs enter the same pathways as those recreational drugs would do, but it requires you to live also.
So it doesn't have the downside.
It doesn't have the downside. You can't get addicted to it, and there's no side effects, yeah, other than contraindication, but that's something that's a different story. The fact is that if we live correctly and then take the medicine, we have exactly that what we need in order to keep moving forward. So the way this works is that this meridian system that is responsible for inspiration and feeling engaged so that we can do, needs also the bodily engagement. For example, the meridian that you activate, what a handshake would do on inspiration from others, the exercise is that would do the same activation is bench press.
Oh, yeah, pushing.
Yeah, pushing, like push-ups, bench press. The reason why, when you talk to personal trainers, they all would say that everyone's favorite exercise is bench press.
Oh, because it's like lights up the heart.
Everyone goes straight away. No one likes leg work. Everyone hates lunges.
I'm a freak. I like lunges. But like, yeah, my Qigong exercise is like, it's all about the palms and then the palms coming together.
Yeah. So for example, like the quickest way, yeah, it's been in research, it has been shown, if someone is depressed and not inspired, the quickest way to change them is by doing 3 sets of a bench press.
All right. Wow.
A lot of research done on it. Psychological research, Harvard University, all kind of stuff. The impact on depression that bench press has is far beyond what antidepressants would do.
Yeah. Hey, Jost, I'm wondering if we can talk a bit into the signs and symptoms of like the spleen deficiency or spleen stagnation. Last week we started to talk a little bit about that, and even weight gain is a bit of a function of that. Can you talk into that a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. The spleen, the function of the spleen is transformation and transportation. We talked the spleen in Chinese medicine, not the spleen in Western medicine. The organs in Chinese medicine have a different function to the organs in Western medicine, which is why we write, in Chinese medicine, we write the organs with an uppercase to indicate that it's Chinese organ. The Chinese medicine spleen, the function is transformation and transportation. That means the foods you take, the spleen will now transform it into energy and transports it throughout the body. And we call it T and T function. So if the spleen is functioning effectively and everything's good, that means whatever you eat, it will be converted into energy and distributed throughout the body. Mm-hmm. This means you can't get weight gain. Mm-hmm. You can't have fluid retention. You can't have accumulation of certain parts of the body, like lipidemia and all kind of other problems, like where suddenly certain body parts start now actually accumulating fluids, or that fluid would be called damp conditions in Chinese medicine.
You actually talked a bit about that in the first 4 weeks ago, our first interview, didn't we? We're about the mucus on the lungs.
Yes, that's the same thing.
In relation to COVID,
Yeah, that's exactly, if you got to, this is where why COVID is in fact a lifestyle medicine issue more than it is a virus invasion. So because lifestyle that depletes the spleen, that means transformation and transportation of fluids and foods can't occur. It now accumulates and it now converts into damp. The damp is now placed in the lung. It now is stored in the lung. So if a virus now penetrates the lung, or if the virus invasion takes place, you can have complications. If there's no phlegm in the lung, no complications. This is why some people have problems with this virus.
And what can people do to improve their spleen energy? Like the heart, we talked about the bench press, obviously shaking hands, spleen, cuddling, cheek on cheek. But what if they don't have many people to cuddle? What could people do to improve their spleen? And there's other things that deplete the spleen as well, like overeating and staying up late at night too. There are a couple of
first important, we need to understand what kinds of foods to eat. Yes, obviously that's where like if we eat raw foods, if we eat fast foods, if we eat cold foods like ice creams, if we rush food, if we eat food standing up, if we don't have a mindful attitude when we eat, it impacts negatively on the spleen, and the spleen weakens. So in order to nourish the spleen, we have always cooked warm meals, like good porridge, like think of a nice Indian dal. That's like a serious spleen building food. Like in the East, you always see people eat like stir fry or dal. And they're usually...
Is congee good for spleen?
Congee, yeah, depending on the settling of what goes on. But yeah, congee, of course, if you know how to do it.
Yeah. I usually take between 4 to 6 hours to do my congee. I'm planning on doing one today. Heaps of ginger through it, heaps of garlic through it, and then just some chicken and the rice. But the slow cooking makes it super warming.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's congee is like, it's because anything that supports this process of brewing energy. You see, in Chinese medicine, in order to enhance the spleen, we work with qi rather than nutrients.
Yeah, so the slow cooking, like cooking it for 8 hours.
We want to get qi. That means first, the most important thing is when we cook is the state of mind. So that's why a lot of diets, like the Mediterranean diet, they say works wonders. But if you copy the Mediterranean diet and make someone to eat it who is in a negative state of mind, it won't work as effectively.
Yeah, to me, it's more of a culture.
Yeah, you've got to be aware that people who eat that in those places where they copy those diets are usually singing lots, drinking good wine, and lots of hugging.
Yeah. Love the social, like that 5 to 7 p.m. at night. It's such a good family, friends, and hanging out time while you're cooking in the kitchen,
So the state of mind is the most important thing to enhance your spleen function. And that everyone can change that, which is why in the qi cycle, the spleen function is, and the stomach, the eating, the breakfast, is always after you have detoxed the body first. So in Chinese medicine, we never eat unless we clear the body of blockages first. We don't eat before we clear negativity. And in my book, Clock On, I talk about it in detail, what to do about it, how to do this. Because that action I call the cleaner. So in order to build your spleen, you need to wake up, first of all, to clear your meridians. Because the meridians, if they are blocked meridians are responsible for your psychological outlook in life. For example, no one is a bad person. If the meridian is blocked, you have a reactive pattern, and therefore you will act that other people say, he or she is a bad person. But in nature, no one is bad. The spirit, the soul is good. But if the meridians are blocked, you will have non-beneficial behavior patterns to others.
Yeah, it's a distorted energy.
So that means you are grumpy, you tell people off, you get aggressive. But if the energy is flowing freely, you are the opposite. You are direct in contact with your spirit. That means the soul is coming forward, and the soul, the spirit, only wants to love. It wants to hug. It wants to cuddle. It's compassionate. Yeah. But if meridians are blocked, the negative aspect comes forward. So if the meridians are blocked, it doesn't matter what diet you have. It doesn't matter what you eat. You will not lose weight. You may have a temporary dip in weight and you lose a little bit of weight here and there. But then as soon as you stop the diet, bang, weight goes back up again. I see this over and over. If the meridians are blocked, diet will not work.
Yeah.
That's why diets are fat. They don't work.
Yeah.
Whereas
if
you live correctly and know how to remove the blockages, you can eat what you want.
Yeah, that's right. Like good living is the ultimate.
It's if you're happy, if you clear the blockage, it puts you in a positive state of mind. When you eat, you automatically transcend. Oh, this is good. You go, oh, yum. And when you go yum, what do? You activate heart meridian. Heart meridian now supports the spleen in the production of the blood. Now the energy moves. It doesn't get set. But if you have a negative state of mind or the meridians are blocked, and then you eat a salad because you have to lose weight, you go, I hate this. And bang, spleen goes further down, nothing works.
Yeah.
So, diet is a very complex issue. I could talk for days on that, because everyone I work with attains the perfect body. Everyone I work with, everyone who reads the book and follows through loses weight without putting emphasis on diet. I challenge everyone can lose the body weight, can lose weight and have the perfect body. Everyone.
Yeah. Awesome.
You just know how to live.
Hey, we had a question, and it's from, she says she's got a neurological condition, multiple sclerosis, messages slow from the brain. She purchased some of their well-being tablets actually to help, but she's asking, is there any advice for her energy? The movements are limited with the MS, of course. And interestingly, she also teaches the Maori touching noses for greeting. So I'm wondering like what that's about, right? Like I wonder what meridian that is and what's that doing. But also it's like, do you have any suggestions for, as far as Qi goes in traditional Chinese medicine for MS?
Yeah, obviously this is where Qigong is coming into, because Qigong is about receiving the energy. So people who work with them who have MS found enormous benefit with Qigong practices. Like, because even if the body stops moving, your mind can continue moving the qi through the body, and it will then impact on the muscle flow, a muscle contraction, and then create a free flow via this. Qigong techniques, I consider, in my 35 years in clinic, I would say Qigong practices are essential for everyone's health. They're absolutely, the Chinese stepped into this most likely around 15,000 years ago and have evolved it since then. And so it's something we just simply have to expect, that understand things we don't understand. And now that COVID has hit us, we need to look at other means of improving our life rather than using the old values. And Qigong will be a part of it, and the Qi cycle.
Yeah, I've got to say, it's even woken me up, and I'm doing Qigong again, and I was a bit slack for a long time. Even though I taught Qigong for 8 years, I just have not been practicing as much over the last few years. And it's been good to sort of get back into it. It's been awesome. Yeah. Awesome, Jost. Well, look, we're coming up to the top of the hour. It's fantastic for you to impart your knowledge and share with us. Thank you so much. We've had different comments on the chat and in the Facebook Live as well, which is in the Renew with Redox group. So if you are interested to learn more about the redox technology we've been talking about as well, and how you can incorporate that, please ask the person that invited you to the call to invite you into that Renew with Redox Facebook group. It's a secret group. There's heaps of information in there, and a lot of really great testimonials from people that have had experiences. And regarding the MS, we have had some people talk about some pretty amazing experiences that they've had, which is fantastic. More thank yous to you again, Jost. Thank you, Dee, and thanks to others that have commented and sent me sent me different messages. Any words of wisdom as far as encouraging people to look after their spleen energy in this the current time that we're in, Jost?
Rule number one is when you wake up, clear blockages, because if you clear blockages, you automatically do that what hugging and cuddling would do. Then obviously keep cuddling and hugging everyone you can find, but restrict to it. So therefore, open up the blockages, the meridian as much as you can. And like throughout the day when the inspiration goes down, a few push-ups will immediately open up the meridians. The next thing what opens up the meridians is music and singing. Chanting, like singing. That's why cultures where the diets work effectively on people, where they have good body weight and good health, is because they sing a lot and have lots of music. Yeah, and so that's obviously so that's another thing. So every time you feel the inspiration is go down, do an opera.
Yeah, an opera. Do some singing. Fantastic. Hey, Jost, Melanie asked a question. What might it mean if you don't feel like cuddling?
Then do more push-ups.
Then do more push-ups. Open the heart, hey?
Get a bench press.
There you go. Thank you, Melanie, for asking that question. That's fantastic. Lynn says, great content. Thank you so much. And Ree says, thank you for answering her question. Any thoughts on the Maori touching?
You can study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because you do lots of exactly the same action as hugging and cuddling, but it's got the other intent.
Yeah, that's right. Lock them down and tumble all over the ground. Absolutely.
Exactly the same, but the other way.
Yeah, that is so cool. Any ideas on what the Maori nose touching could be activating?
It's large intestine. It's large intestine meridian.
Okay.
It opens up blockages and reveals your true nature. That's why why they use, this is colon 20. This point up here is colon 20. It takes anger down immediately. For example, it's a point we use in martial art. If you take your finger points and put it right up there where the nasal is and press it as hard as you can, it's very painful.
Yeah.
But it makes it instantly teary. It brings up the tears.
Yeah.
So what it means is it brings you to your truth. So if you feel like you're too much in the head and feel like too much conceptual, just press this point, you automatically become teary, you return to your true self. So that's when the Marys want to, one of the reasons from a Chinese medicine perspective, why you want to tap on here is to meet the other person's true nature.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. That's fantastic.
So obviously it's connected. I can see someone's talking about the governing channel here. Of course, that's the meridians connected to, but the acupuncture point that activates this point is colon 20.
Yeah, wow.
There was someone talking about, of course, it's the Do and Ren channel, of course, but the point, you can't activate this point here. You need to work with this point.
Okay, yeah.
It's probably noted that from ambulance, you also revive people with this point. Or is this the point here?
I was a strange paramedic. Yeah, I would like be pulling on fingers when they're having heart attacks and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things in the back of the ambulance. That's right. All right, mate. It was fantastic to have you on the call again today. Thank you very much for your incredible experience. And I love that. I just asked you a question about the nose and your philosophy and understanding and big picture view of traditional Chinese medicine is just absolutely mind-blowing. So thanks everyone for coming on the call, and we'll probably do it again next week. Yeah, Jost, we'll talk about something else, same time, same channel. And thank you everyone for being involved.
We can take more weight loss if you want, losing weight.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, like how do we, really living to help our spleen. Yeah. The perfect body. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.